Welcome in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Welcome in on this Monday, January 16th edition, and it is, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we are so glad to have you guys with us as we have a fantastic show. Mo is wearing his Natchez High attire today on MLK Day. That is that's a pretty cool sweatshirt.
It's pretty solid. It might be the best thing I got Friday night, actually. But just want to recognize or point out, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. In Alabama, as you're well aware,
it's
also Robert E. Lee Day.
Yeah.
Also in Mississippi.
It's ironic that those two were born on the same day.
Well, actually, Martin Luther King was born on January 15th.
Right.
But the observance is on the third Monday of January. It's just really galling.
They had the same birthday.
Robert E. Lee's birthday is the 15th as well. That's so unfortunate.
It's awfully weird.
That's like Pat Summitt shares a birthday with somebody like that, doesn't she?
I don't know.
That's unfortunate. It really is. It's nothing you can do about it, but you can't do anything about their birthdays. You could do something about the observance. Alabama.
Anyway. Yeah. It's always been very awkward. Anyway, again, we have a great show. Looking forward to it. I am, because we have Joe REXRODE who's going to join us and talk about the debacle that was the basketball game in Knoxville on Saturday.
Well, and from an Arkansas perspective, the debacle that was at Memorial Gym as well.
That was there was plenty of stuff going on in that one too. So if you missed the Vandy Arkansas game, there's a lot to unpack from that one. So, and if you missed the Tennessee Kentucky game, there's a lot to unpack from it too. So Joe's going to join us at 2:20. We'll talk about it. We've also got Fox Sports AFC South correspondent Ben Arthur is going to join us in the 3:00 hour to talk about the NFL playoffs, the Jags' improbable comeback.
I don't even know if improbable covers it.
Making me look like a genius. I'm the only one on this show who picked the Jaguars to win.
Good Lord.
That was luck.
Yeah, that was absolutely dumb luck.
Hey, beginning
And
of
you
summer.
were feeling pretty bad at halftime. I'd
Oh
imagine.
gosh, I was like, "Jeez,
Yeah.
that was terrible." They had us in the first half. They had us.
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
They had us. But yeah, so we'll talk about that one. We've got more on the NFL playoffs as well. Also, you know, because it's the off season and apparently the Tennessee Titans don't have a quarterback. I was unaware. Thought they had three. Tom Brady who is playing tonight, by the way, rumored to be
Man has a team. He's on a team.
He's got a team.
He's literally on a roster.
He's playing.
He's playing in the playoffs, which is more than the team that he's supposed to be coming to can say. Yet,
is Tom Brady coming to the Titans? I don't know. We'll talk about that. We'll talk.
Yeah,
about
you do. The
offensive coordinator position. Who has interviewed? Who would we prefer? And who do we think is most likely to get it? We'll get into all of that.
And they're probably not the same people.
They're not the same people. Plenty to talk about. Also, we need to mention the Summit Blue uniforms, and we'll get to those because they were sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, plenty to get to. We got a lot to go, including a massive rundown. So let's get to it and get you to weekend's results, today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy. Prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Girls basketball action on Friday. Laverne 50-16 over Antioch. It was Blackman 60, Oakland 34, Brentwood a 76-35 win over Oakland. Winslow 58, Brentwood Academy 41, Cannon County 58-32 over Watertown. Clarksville Christian down Clarksville 52-47. Rossview was a 75-13 winner over Clarksville Northeast. Columbia Central 60, Ravenwood 34, and Providence Christian downs Columbia Academy 51-32. Eagleville edges out Cornersville 46-43, and Creekwood a 60-38 winner over Greenberg. It was Good Pasture 44, Davidson Academy 41, Nashville Christian 55, DCA 32, Cheatham County 54, Fairview 29, Franklin 46, Centennial 40. It was Clarksville Academy 61-18 winners over Friendship Christian, and Giles County did the best of Lewis County 58-26. Webb School 84, Grace Franklin 30, Cullioca 57, Hampshire 21, Harpeth Hall downs Pope Prep 59-50, and Hendersonville downs Beach 54-28. Henry County was a 48-32 win over Northwest, and Hillwood 58-17 over Hume Fogg. Nolensville 38, Independence 37, and Joe Burns 53. Knowledge Academies 48.
Want to flip back to that Giles County Lewis County game for just a second, because that game made Giles County 1-0 in District 10 2A and 1-17 on the season. Yeah. Lincoln County with a 60-51 win over Lawrence County. Cookeville defeated 11 and 60-35. It was Father Ryan 46, Lipscomb Academy 29. Martin Luther King with a 55-15 win over Glencliff. McGavock 64, Hunters Lane 21. It was East Robertson 48, Merrill High 33. Middle Tennessee Christian 68, University School of Nashville 20. Loretto with a 90-12 win over Mount Pleasant. Liberty Creek defeated Portland 35-30. It was Rockvale 67, Riverdale 38. Richland with an 80-23 win over Santa Fe. Summit defeated Siegel 41-32. Cane Ridge 49, Smyrna 45. Springfield 57, West Creek 44. Page down Spring Hill 65-27. It was Gallatin 59, Station Camp 53. Trousdale Academy defeated Trousdale County defeated STEM Academy 61-14. Stratford over Republic 60-28. Warren County 58. Stewart's Creek 45. Westmoreland with a 47-29 win over Smith County. Sycamore 58. White House Heritage 19. Wilson Central 36. Mount Juliet 34. And Zion Christian with a 1-point 44-43 win over Franklin Christian.
In boys action, it was Laverne 41, Antioch 36, Oakland downs Blackman 67-39, Brentwood Academy 47, Innsworth 36, Cannon County 41-35 winners over Watertown. It was Columbia Central 61, Ravenwood 53. What? I'm sorry.
Where you been all weekend, bro?
I missed that somehow. Okay. Anyway, shocking developments here.
Clearly, you're not going to mainstreetmurray.com on Saturday
busy.
mornings.
I was busy.
Yeah.
Columbia Academy 62, Providence Christian 49, Eagleville 83, Cornersville 32, Creekwood 48-46 winners over Greenbrier, Goodpasture 70, Davidson Academy 35, it was Nashville Christian 63, DCA 48, East Nashville 72, 38 winners over Lead Academy. It was Fairview 57, Cheatham County 55, Centennial edges Franklin in the Battle of Franklin and the Battle of Natchez, apparently 60-57. It was BGA 74, Franklin Road Academy 54, Clarksville Academy 71-60 winners over Friendship Christian. Giles County, Downs Lewis County 78-58. It was Grace Franklin 70, Webb School 69, Culleoka 74-53 winners over Hampshire. Hendersonville 29, Beach 28. Jeez. Henry County 64, Clarksville Northwest 52. And that's Hillwood 62, Hume 550, Independence 72-36 winners over Nolansville, and Joe Burns 53, Knowledge Academies 48.
Brentwood with a 65-46 win over Overton. John Edwards Classical defeated Curry Ingram 64-24. It was Whites Creek 84, Kip of Nashville 49. Lawrence County with a 66-49 win over Lincoln County. Lebanon defeated Cookville 78-67. It was MLK 65, Glencliff 47. MBA with a 71-57 win over Pope Prep. Hunters Lane defeated McGavock 65-50. East Robertson down Merrill Hyde 57-34. University School of Nashville 51. Middle Tennessee Christian 40. Ezel Harding with a 67-40 win over Mount Juliet Christian. Loretto edged Mount Pleasant 57-51. It was Portland 69, Liberty Creek 36. Rockvale down Riverdale 60-57. Richland with a 54-30 win over Richland 54, Santa Fe 33. I can read. Really, I can. Siegel 59, Summit 54, Cane Ridge 59, Smyrna 56, West Creek 61, Springfield 52, Page with a 72-70, and I think this was overtime win over Spring Hill. Station Camp 66, Gallatin 56, Trousdale County with a 58-19 win over STEM Academy. Stewart's Creek defeats Warren County 76-69, Westmoreland 63, Smith County 54, White House 94, Montgomery Central 52, White House Heritage 52, Sycamore 48, Mount Juliet with the 42-37 win over Wilson Central, and Franklin Christian defeats Zion Christian 56-47.
Girls action on Saturday: Carterville 46, Ezel Harding 41, Lebanon 59, Lakeway Christian 36, Loretto 62-56 winners over Lauderdale County of Alabama. Summertown also gets the best of an Alabama foe, 65-51 over Madison Academy. York Institute 41, Page 34, Stewart's Creek 71, Hutchinson School 44, and Creekwood 41-26 winners over Westmoreland.
In boys basketball action on Saturday, it was Bowling Green, Kentucky 67, Pope Prep 54. Covenant Christian of Alabama defeats Summertown 59-44. Green Hill with a 44-32 win over Ensworth. Good Pasture. Ooh, this is a little surprising. 76, Hillsborough 74. Sounds like a heck of a ball game. Christ Presbyterian Academy with a 97-66 win over Greenwood of Kentucky. Lauderdale County, Alabama comes to the barn and gets out with a 60-56 win over Loretto. Marshall County 77, Lighthouse Christian of Antioch 26. Montgomery Bell Academy edges Pearl Cone 49-48. Owensboro Catholic of Kentucky 66, Cane Ridge 42. Brentwood Academy with a 64-45 win over Sparkman of Alabama, and Warren Central Kentucky 90, Lebanon 51.
Women's basketball action in college: Tennessee Tech winners over Tennessee State 83-76, Lipscomb 62, Jacksonville State 55, Austin P 65-59 winners over Kennesaw State. Tennessee down Georgia 68-55, and Illinois State got the best of Belmont 70-56. It was Trevecca 71, Finlay 60. In NAIA action, it was Cumberland 84, Wilberforce 43, Thomas More 76, UT Southern 42, and Fisk with a trio of wins over the weekend. A 98-50 win over Southern New Orleans, 71-69 over Tougaloo, and 73-63 over Philander Smith. In Junior college action, Walter State down Vol State 52-39, and Columbia State with a big win over Motlow 87-63.
Men's basketball action over the weekend. As we mentioned, Kentucky with the 63-56 win over Tennessee at Thompson Bowling Arena on Chris Lofton Day. Very disappointing. Vanderbilt, however, shocked Arkansas 97-84 at Memorial Gym. Tennessee Tech with a 71-63 win over Tennessee State. Belmont defeats Northern Illinois 76-72. Lipscomb with an 86-72 win over Austin P. Findlay. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I don't really know, but
That's how we're pronouncing
that's
it.
how we're
That's how
pronouncing
it's
it.
spelled.
Findlay 84, Trevecca 66, Cumberland with a 98-83 win over Wilberforce. UT Southern downs Thomas More 80-74. Fisk defeats Southern New Orleans 70, falls to Tougaloo 61-50, and falls to Philander Smith 67-66. Good Lord, 3 games in 3 days.
It's tough.
That is tough. In junior college action over the weekend, Walter State gets Volunteer State 70-65. Columbia State with a 73-64 win over Motlow State. And in the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies defeat Indiana 130-112. And on the ice, Buffalo Sabres defeat the Nashville Predators 5-3.
Today's action doubleheader, Lewis County is at Spring Hill starting at 6 with girls play. Boys to follow. White House will be at Watertown also at 6. Girls only at 3 o'clock today. Highland Rim Academy is at Clarksville Christian. Boys only. Springfield is at Whites Creek at 4:30. Red Boiling Springs is at Westmoreland at 6. And Independence Academy is at Whites Creek at 7:30.
Are we sure about that?
That I don't know that they're only boys.
Surely they're not playing a doubleheader. That's interesting. Women's basketball action. Middle Tennessee State goes to Birmingham, taking on the Lady Blazers at 6 o'clock. Also at 6 o'clock, Vanderbilt is at Arkansas. That game can be seen on the SEC network. In men's basketball action, at the Glass House, UAB comes to Middle Tennessee State. That's an 8 o'clock start on the CBS network. CBS Sports Network. Excuse me. NBA action, Phoenix is at FedEx Arena against the Grizzlies. That's a 5 o'clock tip on TNT. At 7 o'clock, the Flames of Calgary are at Bridgestone Arena against the Predators.
I will not be there. Just for everyone who needs to know, I will not be at the Calgary Preds game. So if UC Soros gets hurt again, not my fault.
That's a 7 o'clock start on Bally Sports South. And at 7:15 on ESPN, the final playoff game of Super Wildcard Weekend as Tampa Bay with quarterback Tom Brady go to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Again, that's a 7:15 kick on ESPN, and that is your rundown. You know, sometimes the timing, it just isn't good. It's kind of like when you're on salary and you keep count of your hours and you figure out how much you can pay per hour. Don't do that, and don't time the rundown. Sometimes it's best not to know.
Just know. Just you know. Just listen. Enjoy.
Yeah, that's it.
Top story today coming from Tuscaloosa, Mo. Shocking story, shocking development from out of Alabama, where now former Alabama basketball player is Darius Miles has been arrested and charged with capital murder following an incident on Saturday night on the Strip in Tuscaloosa, where a young mother was killed by gunshot. And after an investigation with police, he was arrested on Sunday, charged with capital murder, and is being held without bond at this point. This is just a brutal story. What reports are calling a minor altercation led to the death of a young woman who is also a mother. And, you know, Mo, when I was in college, I did some stupid stuff and probably said some things to some folks on the street I probably shouldn't have said, things like that. But the worst I was ever worried about was, you know, a broken nose or, you know, getting my jaw jacked. And it's tough to watch the videos of him being arrested, and it's tough to read the stories about this young woman, knowing that it was completely avoidable.
Absolutely. And you contrast your concerns when you were in college, my concerns when I was in college, and the concerns that you have as a parent for your child in college in this day and time.
Yeah.
It's night and day. It's apples and lug nuts. I mean, you just never imagine any dispute, regardless of what it was, getting to this level. And it happens more than you realize, more than you care to realize. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say college campuses aren't safe, but they're certainly not as safe as they were when we were in school. And it's tragic. And I don't know what would possess a 20-something-year-old to have a gun on a college campus. I mean,
Well, they weren't on campus, but you're in the middle of a campus.
I mean, you at some point you have it on campus if you had it off campus.
Most likely, unless it was in your friend's car.
You're not just leaving it somewhere.
No, we don't know who the gunman was. We don't even know that Darius Miles was involved. We don't know that. Police have arrested him, but he does. He does, deserve to be innocent until proven guilty. And it's just an unfortunate situation that he finds himself in. What was so weird, he missed 2 games for a quote personal matter. On Saturday morning was listed out against LSU with an ankle injury and was out for the season.
Yeah, he had been pronounced out for the season prior to Saturday's game against LSU.
Yeah. And so, the former 3-star Washington, D.C. native, but IMG Academy product, was a big feather in the cap of Nate Oates. And, was a pretty solid contributor to that program. I mean, you go from, 2 weeks ago playing for the number 5 team in the country to worried, am I ever going to see the outside world again? And capital murder carries a death sentence, by the way.
And again, as a parent, you hate it for that young lady. You hate it for this kid. I mean, again, you're sitting there as a parent wondering if your child is ever going to see the outside world again. And I would imagine his parents are really struggling right now. Other parents that are struggling right now, by the way, there was a single car accident in or near Athens, Georgia, early Sunday morning that claimed the life of Georgia offensive lineman Devin Willock and Chandler LaCroix, a member of the Georgia recruiting staff. 2 others were injured, but
one of them critically, the other has been released from the hospital at this point, which is fantastic news. I don't know if you saw the photos, but how anyone survived that accident, they had the hand of someone on them because it was, I don't know how you survive it. But our thoughts and prayers with the families and obviously those injured.
Yeah, it's rough
Not
weekend for college athletics. I mean, I don't know. Alabama plays tomorrow night at Vanderbilt, I believe. And it's just tough to wrap your mind around that. I mean, you had the shootings at Virginia back in the fall that involved members of their football team, but rarely do you see athletics involved in something like this, or athletes involved in something like this. It's just mind-boggling.
It is. It is different. And it's tough for us because, again, it's not something we see a lot. So it's hard for us to talk about it on a show like this. But again, that's why we're here. That's why we bring you, sports news on this show and try to, keep you as up to date as we can. And we, it's just hard to talk about, but you kind of have to. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunately a part of it.
Let's take a break. Joe Rexrode is standing by. We'll get to him in just a moment here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Talk a little college hoops. Stick around.
Jones and Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here on this MLK Day edition of the show. Thanks for being with us as we are talking a little college hoops now as we go to the Athletics' Joe Rexrode, who joins us by phone. Joe, what's up, man? Can Joe hear us?
I don't know if Joe can hear us, but
we can't.
I can't hear Joe.
Looks like his device is disconnected. I will start to effort him.
He's dropped out. So Joe was in Knoxville, I believe. If he wasn't, he was certainly tweeting as if he were. But he was definitely watching that game. And we'll talk a little Tennessee, Kentucky here, because Tennessee played about as bad as you could possibly play offensively.
And still had a chance.
Still had a chance to win. It's crazy because but that's exactly what we talked about on Friday when we had Jeff Drummond on. He said, Tennessee can play horribly on offense and still win this game because of how good their defense is. The difference was that a terrible free throw shooting team in Kentucky went 15 of 16 from the line.
And I didn't get to see a lot of the game, but the part of the game that I did see, maybe the last 15 minutes or so, it was amazing how many point blank shots Tennessee missed.
Just in and out. I mean, Zakai Ziegler missed 3 layups in a row. Yeah. 3 trips down, missed layups.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that.
JoJo James missed a couple. Plavsic, as well as he played, missed a couple of low post shots. And they came back to really bite them. That and the lack of presence on the boards.
Just none whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was tough to watch, man. I mean,
and again, I just never would have thought. I just thought that Chris Lofton being in the building and the energy that celebrating him would bring. Typically, teams don't lose those type games when they are honoring one of their greats like that. It's
especially when you're the number 5 team in the country and they're
unranked.
Coming off.
How many times are you going to play an unranked Kentucky team? And you got to take advantage of that, especially at home.
Well, from what I read, I don't know. I wasn't there. And I don't know the difference between television audio and what was really there. But from what I read, a lot of Tennessee folks saying that the energy just wasn't there.
All right, I think we might have Joe on the phone here. If y'all want to.
Joe, do we have you on the phone here?
Hello, I can hear you guys. How you doing?
Awesome. Hey, man, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Doing okay.
Did you make it up to Knoxville this weekend, Joe?
I did.
Chris was saying that indications are that the energy wasn't what you would have expected for a number 5 team in Tennessee taking on Kentucky at Thompson Bowling. What was your what was your read on that?
Well, I thought the energy was great. But pregame, I thought the place was on fire when they led 8-0. I think Kentucky killed the energy. I think the way Tennessee played is really the culprit. It's not the atmosphere. There's a totally different psychology to this game than any other Kentucky game. I think I've been to all the Kentucky games since I've been here, that have been in Knoxville. And it's always a huge game against a top 10, if not top 5 team. And it's, can the Vols win this game? Can they come up with a big effort to win this game? And Saturday it was, okay, how much are the Vols going to blow out Kentucky by, So just the fact that it settled into, like, normally a competitive, tight, physical game with Kentucky would be great. That's exciting. Get after it. Get after them every possession. This was like, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to happen. So I suppose you could look at like the students and the crowd and say, so you guys have to, rise up and provide some of that energy when things aren't going well. But man, their team was just so bad. It played such dumb basketball Saturday. So I really think, I think if it had gone as hoped, then it would have been great. But that's the problem with playing a team as talented as Kentucky is and just being expected to blow them out.
Was this a case of Tennessee being the hunted instead of the hunter and just not responding to that role very well in this rivalry?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that's some of it. Yeah, I think definitely seriously, I don't think there's ever been a kid. Rick Barnes has a great record against John Calipari. I don't think there's ever been a situation where he had a team that was just flat out expected to roll against one of his teams, right? So there's that. And there's also the desperation of Kentucky. They do deserve a lot of credit for how they mucked up this game. And they still have a lot of good players. They have a lot of length and athleticism. I think the length in particular, with the way they played defense on the perimeter, really bothered Tennessee. And again, I was to the point on press row where I'm sitting there putting my head in my hands at times, what are you doing? Just launch up another contested three when Uros Plavsic could have had 30, 35 points in it. He really could have. He absolutely. I understand that he's not normally a primary offensive player. He doesn't normally play that much. But when someone's having a game like that, the smart teams say, okay, we're going to go there every time. Why wouldn't you? And even when he got doubled one time, he recognized it. He kicked it out. He reposted. He got it back. He had about a 1 foot little drop into the basket. So it was just, there's a lot of things that went to it. Kentucky definitely deserves credit though too. That team, and I know a lot of Kentucky fans are see, this is why, Xavier Wheeler should be the point guard, and maybe they have a point. I don't know, but we're talking about when is Cal getting fired? What's the buyout? Where's he going? All that stuff. And they played like a team that isn't ready to just cash it in on the season yet.
Yeah. We talked with Jeff Drummond of Cats Illustrated on Friday, and Chris and I have talked about this game leading up to it. And the one thing I said was, Joe, you know, Kentucky at some point is going to be Kentucky. You just didn't, as a Vol fan, want it to be at 11 o'clock Saturday morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's the interesting thing too about this matchup is, like for me, and I wrote this a little bit in the Athletic, but it was a different defensive approach, but it was a similar kind of thing with like a very talented kind of underperforming team with a lot of length and athleticism that you're supposed to beat, and you have a lot of pressure, and it turns into this just missing shots you normally make and then taking too many from long range. And of course, that's the Michigan game of the NCAA tournament and Saturday's game. And again, very different because Michigan did a great job. Juwan Howard had a great adjustment to take Kenny Chandler away and just say, you know what, if they hit the outside shots, then we lose, but we'll live with that. In this game, Calipari was not going to. He just was going to let them do whatever they wanted to inside. So Tennessee chose poorly. But in both cases, like a tight team feeling the pressure misses wide open layups and misses shots it normally makes. And, I mean, it was incredible. You know, I felt bad for Zakai Zeger because I still think he actually played well. And he just had one of those days, you know, where, like, I mean, I think he missed himself 5 layups, certainly 4. And it's just, you know, he's going to be fine. But I do worry with Tennessee. You know, Santiago Vescovi and Josiah James are terrific players, leaders, seniors. Anybody would want them on their team. But I think they need to be a little bit less dominant in the offense at times, you know? And it's just like, if you're Rick Barnes, you want to get Julian Phillips more involved for one thing, but you just want to get away from living and dying with those guys making jumpers, because along the way in an NCAA tournament, there's going to be a night like there was against Michigan, like there was Saturday. And then how do you survive that?
You know, as I was watching the game, it just felt like you said, it was just dumb mistake after dumb mistake. And Tennessee, look, they didn't shoot the ball well. They didn't find a way to get to the line. You can blame officiating all you want to, but, you know, if you're not finding a way to create contact on the inside, you can't really blame officiating. And I didn't think they did that very well. Kentucky did get to the line and made Tennessee pay when they got there, which is very uncharacteristic of this particular Kentucky team. So it just felt like it was a series of unfortunate events. It was the way that basketball kind of goes sometimes, and you just kind of have to chalk this one up to that's just the way it goes, and we move on. And I mean, basketball's a long season. We're in mid-January.
No, I agree, Chris. I mean, look, you're going to have stinkers, you know? I mean, everybody's going to have stinkers. I mean, UConn's lost 4 out of 5 games, and Arizona has lost a couple bad games recently. I mean, everybody has those. And so it really, honestly, for Tennessee, it's not the worst thing to maybe have some struggles now, you know, rather than playing your absolute best basketball in January. So I agree. And a lot of it is that it's just because of who Kentucky always will be. That's the thing. That's the problem for Kentucky most days, is that they are such a huge red letter game for everybody, you know, whether they're bad or good or whatever. Usually they're really good, but it's always a huge game for the opposing team. So usually that works, you know, that works against them. That makes it tough. But I feel like on this day, it actually, I feel like it worked for them because, again, there were these expectations of doing something that you just never do against Kentucky. So the only thing that struck me about it that's more than just, you chalk it up to a bad day is, again, really, when has Tennessee faced pressure since the NCAA tournament? They really haven't, you know? And I guess you could say, well, I mean, how often did teams face pressure, other than in the postseason? You know, you could look at it that way. But I just thought this was one of those moments where it's like, okay, everybody's watching you. Everybody thinks you're amazing. We're talking about you being a 1 seed and mop the floor with these guys. These guys are terrible. I mean, Kentucky just lost to home to South Carolina. They've been awful. So I don't like how that seems to have led to some extent led to how they played, and they get this. And this is why, I wrote it, and I'll say I'm gonna have a hard time trusting this team when it comes to those big games. It's just, it's just hard to trust it. But I think for them, they need to continue to work on, like you said, Chris, go to the line, drive the basketball, go inside. They're so big and they have so much depth and really different people who can score on the basket. That's what you got to lean in on. And Olivier and Kamwa, he just had one of those bad days. Yeah. He was not boxing out, and Rick Barnes took him out. So, he'll be fine. He's a good player. That's a guy who, in the NCAA tournament, you want him driving and shooting, but being aggressive, being the aggressor.
Joe Rexrode of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee, Bone and Joint. And Joe, I think you kind of hit on something, because that was a lot of the reaction on social media channels following the game. How do you trust this team? Because, you go back to that Michigan game, you go back to other big misses that this team has had under Rick Barnes. And the game was just so out of character for them that it does come back to that. What's going to happen when they do play another big game? When they do play Arkansas or somebody like that. We'll get to Arkansas in a second. But, the trust factor in this team from the outside looking in, it's tough.
Yeah. And again, it's just like Vescovy, for example. I don't want to pick on Vescovy because I think he's been a terrific story. And he's built himself. He's changed his body. He's done so many good things. But sometimes, his decision making on the floor, and I know he's not. He came in as a point guard. But that's really not what he is. But you still would hope a guy like that who's been around that long would make better decisions, would have a better grasp of time and situation and everything at times, So again, I do feel like Ziegler is a really good, he's a really good player, really good point guard. He sees the floor and he creates so many shots for people. And I thought, thought the game pretty well. He was taking the lane and they were just letting him have it. They were not helping off shooters. So, he was getting to the rim. He just had one of those bad days. So from that perspective, I feel like point guard play is so important in March, and I think they have a good one. It's just, if he could be 6 foot, because sometimes it still makes a difference, right? When you're 5'7". So, and I also feel like one thing that they're lacking, because Vescovy does it and Tyreek Key does it some, but they are lacking. They could really use another actual point guard on the roster, just to take a little bit off his shoulders of someone to run the team for 12 minutes. But it is hard to trust him. I also say there have been stretches this year when I've said, tell me the better basketball team than this, when they are sharing the ball, when their defense is turning into offense. That's one thing Kentucky did great too. Kentucky allowed no transition, and
It's about the transition. You're exactly right. That was killer. Great job by Kentucky.
Right. Yeah. So when Tennessee, which by the way, right now still is on pace to, since Ken Pom has been doing it, have the best defense on record in defensive efficiency in a season. And when they turn that into turnovers and runouts, and then they're sharing the ball and that depth and the size, because they normally dominate the boards too. We haven't really talked about that, but they just got killed on the boards. A team that is number 3 in the nation, number 1 in the SEC in rebounding. So, there are times when they're so good that I'm like, man, when they get it all together, they have an incredible collection of, and they have good team chemistry, all these things. But yeah, are they going to be able to sustain that, and put together game after game in the high pressure NCAA tournament? It is hard to trust. I think it's almost like with this team, it's like, maybe if, like they get past the first weekend, which is where it's really like, don't screw it up. And then you're a little bit, you can play a little more free after that. Maybe that would be, a big deal for them. But yeah, it's hard right now to trust them. It is.
Meanwhile, in a game that you didn't get to pay as much attention to because it was after the game you were at and you were writing, I'm sure, but Vanderbilt comes back from 10 down in the first half to smack Arkansas 97-84. And, at this point, I don't know what you make of either of those teams, to be honest.
Well, I will tell you, Mo, I did have it on the phone. I love the streaming, at the game. So I definitely watched the whole second half after the press conferences and everything. And, Arkansas's banged up. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Like, Nick Smith is an incredible player. Two of their best players are out right now. So they're not the same team. They're still, I'd say, around a top 25 quality team. And what Vanderbilt did in the second half was it impressive. They are, it's too bad. And it's kind of like last year, except last year it was more like the injury thing, it was really in no one's control. And this year it's a lot of new faces and freshmen getting in there and all that. But man, they got to figure out a way to just not, bomb out on their season in the first 6 weeks, because right now they're playing like an NCAA tournament caliber team. And I think they have a chance to get more wins. I mean, we'll see, we'll see if they can keep it up, but Jordan right now healthy. Wow. Is he playing well, so well defensively. And then he can, he's just such a unique player. I've always enjoyed watching him play. And then Liam Robbins is terrific. Tyron Lawrence becoming a good player. Man, Yow has early on, I was like, boy, I just don't know about this guy at this level. And he, is playing well. They're fun to watch, so it'll be interesting to see if they can make a late run here, but it's just like, man, they did so much damage to their resume early.
It was killer. Yeah, that early resume is tough. But, again, Vanderbilt, doesn't matter what you do in those games if you go out and win the SEC. So I guess you can make up for it in conference play. So good luck to them. But
even last year, they almost won their way in last year in Florida. They had Kentucky on the ropes.
So you never know. I mean, you don't know what to expect. But I was pretty impressed by the way that they played. Scoring 97 points, I thought was really the most impressive part of that. And and apparently at least drawing in the fight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, well, what they 60 or 60 some right in the second half, I believe. I mean, my goodness. And
63, I believe it was.
I mean, man, and it was just, and some of that is just, I mean, it's some gimmies, and Arkansas can be, kind of sloppy, but no, they're actually. I mean, I like their freshmen. I think their freshmen are going to be good players, and Robbins has become just a problem for people. And it's like with Studi, for example, there was a guy who kind of a one-dimensional player. I mean, he's a shooter, right? And it's like when he shoots well on a particular night, then then they got a real chance. And on some nights he doesn't, but he was putting the ball on the floor, making big free throws late, because he can get you a rebound and play some defense too. I like getting him to do other good things on nights he isn't shooting well necessarily is a huge deal too. So I like their team. I mean, I feel like they have a lot of depth, and maybe Stackhouse is kind of at times almost played too many guys, but right now they got a kind of good thing going, a little bit of rotation figured out.
Joe Rexrode of The Athletic here with us on Main Street Sports today. Joe, thanks for taking some time with us today. We really appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more on college hoops and some lady hoops, Lady Vols, and a big win over Georgia. And we'll also get into the rest of what happened around the SEC, some craziness. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joints. Back after this.
I need to come in on StreamYard.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240240. That's JOIN 240240 to apply now.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow alongside Mo Patton here on this Monday, January 16th edition of Main Street Sports Today. It is MLK Day, and we are excited about some NBA action tonight. MLK Day is one of the bigger days for NBA, and I believe the Grizzlies are taking part in that. They'll be on TNT at 5 o'clock tonight, taking on the Suns. Ja Morant is questionable. Kennedy Chandler has been elevated, so we'll see.
Speaking of UT point guards,
and I was thinking, like, boy, they could certainly use Kennedy Chandler right now.
I think he'd be playing a little bit more than 12 minutes, but yeah.
But
you could have used him
certainly. But plenty of great stuff going on today, and looking forward to tonight's NFL action. We'll get to that in just a moment. We'll talk with AFC South correspondent Ben Arthur.
There you go.
I was going to say Arthur Brown, but that's AJ. And we'll probably talk about AJ a little bit if I had to guess. But anyway, plenty to get to. But right now, just real quick, Mo, Tennessee's women's team with a big win over Georgia, but that wasn't the cool thing was, Justin, I don't know if you can find, I think it's at Lady Vol Hoops, a photo of the uniforms that Tennessee wore this weekend. Just Lady Vol _hoops. Absolutely fantastic looking uniforms with that not really powder blue, more of like it's almost like
I've heard it referred to as Columbia blue.
Columbia blue,
not so much powder blue, but it was a little lighter than Columbia blue, but it wasn't quite powder blue. And I've seen it referred to as summit blue, and I love that.
Summit blue is what I'm calling it. But that right there, that's as good looking of a jersey as you're going to find. Remember La Tech wore that color blue, or at least a lighter than navy blue when they, for the Lady Texters.
La Tech, by the way, I don't know if you saw my retweet yesterday. DeColdest Crawford.
Oh,
DeColdest.
He's got
Shreveport native.
Well,
back in the boot.
These uniforms are the coldest, if you ask me.
They really are. Yeah, I hope we get to see more of those.
And I like that they wore them at home, and they were allowed to wear them at home for one. But yeah, that's
I'm kind of over the white and other uniforms. I think you can tell, unless they're both the same color.
Yeah, I miss the days of being able to wear Vegas gold at home.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a lighter color. This is a light color. I understand the thought process, particularly.
I think in this day
level,
and time, though, you can communicate and get it figured out on the front end and wear colors.
I feel like that is as good of a look as you're going to find
it really is
in college basketball.
And folks really like the Lady Vol in that font as well. I hesitated, to call it script, but whatever it is,
scriptish, but the bottom part did not. So
I don't know. But I like it.
But against that black and red too, also looks good. But Tennessee looked really good on Saturday. Fantastic.
Sunday.
Sunday.
They were up as much as 20 at one time in this ball game.
She threw it off her back right there, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
Throws it off the girl's back, gets the inbound pass, puts it up for two.
Well, I mean, if you're going to turn your back to the inbounder, then you deserve whatever happens.
Exactly. So great win for the Lady Vols on Sunday.
Still undefeated in SEC play, right?
They are really good right now, to say the least. They are really good right now. Now, how long that lasts, we'll see. But yeah, huge.
They took some lumps pre-Christmas.
They did. Even though went out to Stanford, and despite kind of blowing that, unfortunately. How about Baylor's women dropping out of the top 25 poll? First time since 04.
Yeah.
South Carolina still topping the AP top 25 on the women's side, with Ohio State and LSU both undefeated, coming in at 2 and 3. LSU.
Tennessee, despite being unbeaten in SEC play, still not back in the top 25 yet.
Still not back, but you got to feel like they're going to have an opportunity to play their way in. Of course, the SEC only has I think that those two teams are the only SEC teams in the top 25.
South Carolina and LSU?
I believe so.
And that's it.
I don't see anybody else.
There isn't anybody else. Arkansas is third among others receiving votes, right behind the Lady Raiders.
That's the men's top 25, which that's Big Game Boomers. So he's probably trolling somebody in there somewhere. But yeah, so kind of which again, USC loses to Stanford, or beats Stanford, by the way, to end their 51-game win streak versus unranked teams.
Wow.
So Stanford may not be quite as stout of an opponent.
I wouldn't mind seeing Stanford and UT on a neutral floor.
Would be interesting.
South Carolina, Ohio State, and LSU all unbeaten. I'll tell you what, that Angel Reese from LSU, I've not seen her play yet, but she put up 26-28 here not too long ago. That's impressive isn't strong enough for a 26.28 rebound effort. So I'm kind of at a loss for what that is, but Angel Reese coming soon to an SEC gym near you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tennessee on a 7-game win streak. They have Florida at Missouri. Then they get UConn Number 5 UConn.
If UConn can put together a team,
enough players to
yeah.
play. How about this stretch?
UConn is 5th in the country, and they were unable to play DePaul last week because they did not have enough healthy scholarship athletes.
That's crazy.
That's tough, man. I mean, you can't put a team on the floor, but you're ranked number 5 in the country.
And when they are on the floor, they're pretty darn good, I guess.
They should have to go scout intramurals. And seriously,
I think you should have to play.
You should have to play. I don't know. And this is a Big East rule or policy, I guess. Correct. I don't know if it's a athlete safety thing. I don't know what the rationale is behind that.
If I had to go play Chattahoochee Valley State as a member of Huntington's JV team, UConn's non-scholarship players can play DePaul. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
What, you think you were too good for JV or something, or what?
No. Oh. You're talking about player safety. They look like an NBA team compared to us. Our tallest player was 5'11", and that was me. And they're all 6'4" JUCO kids. Just think about that.
That sounds like a fun night.
Think about some JV, Cumberland's JV playing against
Columbia State.
That's exactly what it is. It's just it was just scary. Yeah. So anyway, UConn and LSU back to back on the 26th and 30th.
Pack a lunch.
Better find one. And they get South Carolina toward the end of the year, so at home. So they get LSU on the road and South Carolina at home. Anyway, there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But Tennessee, again, 14-6 overall, tied for first in the SEC with a 6-0 record. And obviously, again,
it's a 3-way tie, I guess. Huh?
It is, in fact.
That's one of these things that's not like the others.
Yeah, Ole Miss 5-1 right now, and so they're looking.
Coach Yow doing a pretty good job over there,
and Arkansas as well. Both of them 16-3. So, yeah. Should be a great night of basketball, by the way. UAB and Middle Tennessee State tonight at 8 o'clock. Might have to make my way over there. Put the kid down at 7 and ride over.
I'm gonna let you go. I can't go over there and watch that. I'm still thinking about that triple overtime Conference USA semifinal game that we watched and kept thinking we were getting ready to leave, and then.
It'll be midnight before we get out of there.
Right.
Tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah. It should be a good ball game because these two have the capability to be really good.
I think they both are really good. I think just the Conference USA is pretty darn good right now. They really are. And it's great for basketball. I'm glad because it's great for this conference. They deserve it. They need it. So looking forward to seeing that one tonight. We're going to take a break because Ben Arthur is set to join us here from foxsports.com. He'll join us to talk a little AFC South and the Jaguars and the NFL playoffs right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bar and Joint. Stick around.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. FoxSports.com's Ben Arthur set to join us here, and looking forward to talking to him about the NFL playoffs, Mo, as the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't even – you said improbable was not the right word.
I don't think it was. I mean, they were down what? 20? They were down 27-0 before Jacksonville scores to end the first half.
We've seen that before. And see what happens.
Yeah. And next thing you know, 31-30 Jacksonville final. Ben, I know you were traveling this weekend, but I didn't know where you were going. Ben Arthur of Fox Sports joining us now here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Were you in Duval?
Yes, I was in Jacksonville, and man, that was an insane game, as you guys just alluded to. I mean, all of us had kind of our stories written, it seemed, and then all of that happened, and you have to change everything.
It's all you can do not to throw a laptop in those situations.
For sure.
I mean, as you said, you're sitting there watching it, Ben. What was the mood in the press box as Trevor Lawrence is leading the Jags back and Justin Herbert and the Chargers are imploding?
Yeah, I think, well, I will say, like, first of all, it seemed like the dialogue was, well, this is the Jaguars kind of doing what they always do. Like, I heard someone say, quote, this is the most Jaguars thing ever, end quote. And that was during the Chargers run to start the game when they were trailing 27-0. But then I think you kind of look at the Chargers, and they do have a history, unfortunately for them, of kind of choking in big moments, of giving up big leads, of having costly plays, turnovers, what have you. They've had a lot of bad luck in their franchise's history for whatever reason, and I think it kind of was just manifesting itself again in this game. And so I think as the Jaguars run started, I mean, at first it was like, okay, the score is a little bit more respectable, but then it kind of grew to a point to where are the Jaguars actually going to be able to pull this off? I mean, the Chargers were unraveling. I think the fact that they didn't have a run game, and that's been an issue for them all season, right? But they don't have a run game, and when you have a big lead like that in the playoffs and you can't run the ball to take time off, control time of possession, that's a big issue. And we saw that come to a head for them, and Trevor Lawrence just kept on rolling and rolling and rolling, and before you knew it, it happened. And so it was just pandemonium. I still can't believe that happened.
I know that your focus is AFC South in your duties with Fox Sports, but you know, the knee-jerk reaction on the part of a lot of folks was that a change has to be made with the San Diego coaching staff. Do you anticipate anything along those lines? I mean, they did make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know that. I know a lot of people have called for Brandon Staley to be fired, kind of that knee-jerk reaction. I don't expect him to get canned. As you said, that they did kind of take a step this year. They won 10 games in the playoffs for the first time since 2018. And yeah, there are kind of lots of issues, but I think you have to kind of look at the bigger picture sometimes, and they did make a lot of strides. Does that mean that, well, I should say this, what I do think their finish to the season shows is that there should be kind of a lot of change on their coaching staff. I don't expect Staley to go, but with the way this season has ended, there has to be change. There has to be significant change. And obviously the Titans situation here in Nashville is different, but I kind of look at it like that situation, right? Like, you know, Vrabel is safe, but the staff has had to change. And we saw Mike Vrabel fire, 4 assistants, including offensive coordinator Todd Downing. So I think the Chargers could see a similar overhaul of their coaching staff in the coming weeks.
Ben Arthur of Fox Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, was in the press box at whatever the stadium is in Jacksonville.
TIAA Bank.
Thank you. I knew it wasn't Alltel Stadium, but for that comeback victory over San Diego on Saturday night. And so the Jaguars now get
top-seeded Kansas City.
Top-seeded Kansas City. That'll be another interesting matchup, I guess. We say all the time it's a quarterback-driven league, and you've got Trevor Lawrence, the young gun, against the oldest quarterback in the AFC playoffs, Patrick Mahomes.
Who'd have thunk that?
Who'd have thunk? Yeah. I mean, Kansas City has just kind of become the constant in the AFC, have they not been?
They have, and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, his greatness has been on hand again this season, leading the NFL in touchdowns. It looks like he's going to be the offensive player of the year, probably MVP as well. I mean, he's been phenomenal, and the fact that he's done all this season without Tyreek Hill, I think we just saw another dimension of that greatness, right? You lose your number one receiver, who's really a top 5 pass catcher in the NFL, and you have more of a committee approach, right? You still have Travis Kelce at tight end, one of the best in the game, but in terms of like a new look unit, you have Marquez, Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster having to rely on other guys and spread the ball more, around more and still kind of put up record-setting numbers. It's been really incredible to watch. I think as long as the Chiefs have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they're going to be in it, and they've showed it this season, and they're kind of the top dog right now.
Other games in the AFC this past weekend, Cincinnati, Baltimore turns into a ridiculous, flip of the script, going into the end zone to a 98-yard touchdown return for on a fumble, scoop and score, giving Cincinnati the win 24-17 over Baltimore. Is this the last we've seen of Lamar Jackson in Baltimore?
I
didn't play, but
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, a lot of people want to go there, and I think speculation is justified. But I think when you already have a proven like top 10 quarterback, I think you have to do whatever it takes to keep said player. I remember the other day, I think it was Lions general manager Brad Holmes, and he was talking about, Jared Goff and whether, people were asking, that the Detroit media was asking him whether or not they should kind of look at quarterbacks, or are they sticking with him? And something that Holmes said was, it's much easier to get worse at quarterback than to get better. And obviously Lamar Jackson is in a different category than Jared Goff, but I look at those words generally, and we know what Lamar Jackson has been, a dynamic quarterback, a former league MVP, really the most unique skill set of a quarterback of kind of any signal caller in the league. I think they have to find a way to make it work. I think that the guarantees in his contract were what was the holdup heading into the 2022 season. Deshaun Watson gets that fully guaranteed deal. Lamar Jackson was pushing for that, and that the Ravens weren't able to quite meet him there. But if you're Baltimore, if you're that front office, you have to do whatever it takes to get it done, because you look at so many of these franchises that have kind of been in mediocrity for so long because they haven't been able to find a guy. And Baltimore, you already have one. Maybe you have to improve the team around him, but I think you have to do whatever it takes to make sure he's a Raven for a long time.
That may be one of the greatest quotes I've heard in a long time. It's a lot easier to get worse at quarterback than to get better. And it's so accurate. And Ben, with everything that the Ravens have done offensively to try to maximize Lamar Jackson's talents and abilities, you almost have to be all in with him, because you don't just switch streams from a guy with that type talent to a conventional quarterback, I guess.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, they've literally designed the offense for Lamar Jackson. You look at how much they run the ball, all the creative designed runs they implement to help maximize him and use him as a threat in space. They've literally changed everything to make it work. And so that's another reason to kind of keep it going. And to my point earlier about them needing to add talent, I mean, that's very legitimate. I mean, they had one of the worst pass catching rooms of any team in the NFL. I mean, the Titans here in Nashville, I mean, they were definitely up there, but the Ravens were right there with the Titans, if not worse. And if you don't really have a threat in the passing game to kind of take pressure off of the run and teams being able to focus in on the run, it makes it harder to operate as a whole. And so yeah, I think that's something that the Ravens need to address. And they obviously have some other holes like on defense too. But I think, yeah, again, they have to do whatever it takes to make Lamar happy. He needs to get healthy too, right? I mean, his knee is the reason he missed a 6th straight game. But yeah, you got to make it work if you're Baltimore.
And real quick, just want to kind of mention, obviously Buffalo struggled a little bit against Miami, not necessarily in any other way than just turning the ball over, and was able to escape. You don't expect that to happen again. Cincinnati will be at Buffalo on Sunday at 2:00 Central on CBS. Jacksonville is a 3:30 on Saturday on NBC against Kansas City. Which of these two games are you most looking forward to?
I think, well, the Buffalo Cincinnati game, obviously, you look at the quarterbacks, Josh Allen against Joe Burrow, and these are two teams so deeply connected, I feel like now, because of the whole DeMar Hamlin situation, and the last time we saw these teams on the field together was such a powerful, emotional moment, and they obviously, the league had to cancel that game. And so you look at the quality of these two teams, the quality of the two offenses, the quality of the quarterback play, and how good both these teams are. I think that's going to be the game to watch. But I will be in Kansas City for the Chiefs Jaguars game, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't think people should sleep on the Jaguars. I think it's gotten to a point where people are starting to wake up a bit, but they're very hot right now. Momentum is a very powerful thing in the NFL. And Trevor Lawrence, this has been said a lot of times, but he's never lost on Saturday in his football career. NFL. This is going to be their 3rd straight game on a Saturday. So obviously it's a different kind of test with Patrick Mahomes now, but I think that could be a great game as well. And so I guess we'll see.
And I guess the neutral site for the AFC Championship is still in play.
Yes.
I think they should give Cincinnati and Buffalo, the winner should just get 2 wins, and then we worry about who gets home field after that. They should get a win for this one and
the one that they didn't play.
that way it makes sure everything gets worked out without having to go to Atlanta. But I think the trip to Atlanta is going to be fun either way. So tonight, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and then, of course, on the NFC side, you got the Giants and Eagles next week, Saturday, 7:15 on Fox. And that has all of a sudden become a really interesting game. Obviously, NFC East.
You've got a possibility of having 3 NFC East teams in the semifinals.
And 3 years ago, they were the worst division in football.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, right?
That's nuts, isn't it, Ben?
No, it is. And if you guys remember, I mean, just a couple years ago, I mean, the NFC East was one of the worst divisions in football. I mean, the Cowboys were always choking. The Giants were never competing. The Eagles have always kind of maybe been somewhat relevant, but the Commanders have had their own issues. And so for that division to be so strong now, it's been quite miraculous. And then obviously with the fact that the playoff format has been expanded with 3 wild card teams, it obviously made something like this more possible. But yeah, NFC East is must watch football.
Ben, please tell me Tom Brady is not coming to Nashville.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. It just doesn't make sense. Well, first of all, if you're Tom Brady, I don't know why you would want to come to the Titans. I mean, maybe it made more sense last year when the Titans looked like they had a better team, but you look at their situation now, they don't. I know he has a relationship with Mike Vrabel and they're very close, but you don't really have an offensive line. You don't have receivers. You don't have an offensive coordinator. The Titans are just coming off a season. They lost 7 straight games. They don't really have a direction on offense right now. And Tom Brady is in his mid-40s or however old he is. It just doesn't make sense. He should want to go, if he does leave Tampa or if he wants to continue playing football, it seems like a San Francisco or a Las Vegas would make the most sense to me. So I was kind of surprised when I saw that report, but again, that relationship with Vrabel and Brady is very strong, and so I've learned in my time covering the NFL, you can never really discount anything from happening, or just not really consider a report seriously. So I guess we'll see.
We will, in fact. Ben, thanks for taking some time with us today, man. We've seen the Titans go into Arrowhead and nearly pull out a victory, so who knows? But it is the playoffs, and this is when Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes certainly have the upper hand experience-wise over Jacksonville. So should be a good game. Enjoy your trip out there.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you for having me.
All right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, more on the Titans and offensive coordinators, Tom Brady, all of that, right after this on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stick around.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, if you are in Columbia tonight and you want to, if you're a former or current Columbia Lion and you would like to watch former Columbia Central Lion Shaq Mason, head on over to Legends, to LB's. There will be the Columbia Gridiron Club will be hosting a watch party for former and current Columbia Central Lions at the bar there at Legends. So
well, that's good to know.
Go Shaq.
You have to bring your own watch, or
for the watch party.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I got 15 of them.
Good job, Justin. I like that.
Much better than this morning when you flipped the joke on your weather joke.
Oh, I know. And Stephanie was like, "Oh, that was so good," and I was like, "Don't do that."
And you were like, "But I messed it up."
No, it wasn't. It wasn't good at all.
Do you know what the difference between weather and climate is?
Between weather and climate, I do not.
You can't weather a tree, but you can climb it.
Well, so I thought it was weather a storm, but you can't climb it. Because how do you weather a tree?
You can't.
You can't. You can't weather a storm.
You can't.
You can't weather a tree.
But you can climb
But you can climb it.
Oh, I said that you can weather it, but you can't climb it.
You flipped it.
Oh man, I gotta do a PSA apology. Anyone in the whole world.
and Stephanie kind of gave you the
courtesy laugh all day.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
And it wasn't even like a good courtesy laugh either. Like,
well, yeah,
she's like,
Do I have to
I
do
don't
this
I don't
every
get
day?
it.
Yeah,
I do
don't
this
get
every
it.
yeah. Afterwards, I was like, I mean, thanks for giving that chuckle. And she was like, she doubled down. She was like, no, that was real. I was like, Stephanie, I was like,
Oh man.
Uh,
Well, the Titans have interviewed some offensive coordinator possibilities, including Kansas City offensive
now,
coordinator.
have they
Eric
interviewed
Bieniemy.
them, or have they?
Apparently, he interviewed this week, or over the weekend.
Well, I guess
Well,
it
he
was an
didn't have
open
anything-
weekend
yeah,
for
he
them
didn't have
because they were
nothing
the
to
number
do,
one
so-
seed. Yeah, you ain't get
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Hmm.
I'm curious, what you guys think about the potential of Eric Bieniemy. I mean, giving him an opportunity to call plays would certainly eliminate one of the excuses that he's, that's been used to take him out of head coaching position jobs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, it would also, I mean, coming here to call plays with this offense as it's currently constructed might be more of a hit to his chances
Maybe.
than a advancement of his chances.
Can I mention that if Matt Nagy comes to the Tennessee Titans and is the offensive coordinator, I am going to seriously consider not being a friend or a fan anymore.
What's wrong with Matt Nagy?
He drove the Bears offense down the drain. Bad. Didn't know what to do with Justin Fields. Their play calling was awful. And he's the one that was in charge of all of that. If you just go to his interviews, like you could do a compilation of him messing up in a game, and then he blames every single body else except himself. And he gives me Todd Downing vibes hard.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
I'm very
open to that.
I just don't want to see it go down the same road as it did whenever he was there calling the plays for the
I understand.
I think he actually called plays in Kansas City, though, before he got the Bears job. So there's that. Now,
Who was he with in Kansas City? Was
Alex Smith?
No, I mean, was he under Andy Reid?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting that Matt Nagy called plays under Andy Reid, and Eric Bieniemy does not call plays under Andy Reid.
Andy Reid is more of an offensive than defensive coach, right?
Oh, absolutely. He has offensive genius status pretty much. I just think that's odd.
I thought it was too when I heard that. So I don't know. I do know that, Nagy, not a great head coach, but has been a successful coordinator. I think Charles London is an interesting option, quarterback coach for the Falcons. Now, obviously, the quarterback play in Atlanta wasn't great, but they had a rookie and they had Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the quarterback play not being great was any fault of that guy necessarily, but I mean, what's he doing as the quarterback coach under Arthur Smith that makes you feel like he's a viable candidate for the OC position here?
I don't know, but I think he may end up being one of the top options. I think he's one of the more likely people to get it because I think there are a lot of people who are going to turn it down.
Yeah,
Eric Bieniemy would be one of them.
49ers.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know why Eric Bieniemy takes this job.
Right now, who would y'all choose?
Out
of the candidates. Out of the candidates.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, I mean, if Eric Bieniemy would want it, that would be who I would take. But I don't know why he would want it.
But wasn't there some sort of like confrontations going on in the locker room with Eric Bieniemy and the Chiefs at the very beginning of the season? I don't know if y'all remember that.
I don't remember that.
Pat Mahomes and him weren't getting along or something.
Well, maybe that's why he would want to.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I don't know that. I've not heard that, but
the Titans director of player personnel, Monty Ossenfort, is now the new Cardinals general manager.
Oops. Okay. Okay.
Cliff Kingsbury's in Thailand right now, so.
And I'm curious. Yeah, well, Kingsbury's not going to be there. Someone asked this. I wonder what Austin Fort's involvement with the interviews and the offensive coordinator job were, and how that now changes things. There's a lot to unpack here. We may have to just get somebody on to talk about it, Mo.
We might have to do that. There is a piece on fan side at former KC Chiefs player sound off about Eric Bieniemy that's dated September 2022. So Justin may be onto something. We got to get out of here.
He may be, in fact.
Definitely something.
We will get out of here. We will talk to Chip Walters tomorrow about Middle Tennessee State. So y'all come back tomorrow at 2:00 on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid Tennessee Bar and Joint.